Indeed, your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. Understand that for you guys watching it on YouTube, you could be a couple days behind. A lot of the content coming on YouTube tends to be censored or blocked or banned, even, certainly if it is Trump related, MAGA related content. And I'm using a tablet on YouTube, so sometimes it's not as clear, but welcome to you folks. Now, we're talking about indictment number 4. And as you see, the video is asking the question, we're going to be asking the question is, are the courts going too far? Now, I understand President Trump is suggesting that the dilemma he's going through is a liberal attack. It is that the liberals are trying to prevent him from running for office again, and therefore launching all of these indictments against the president, somehow in sync, somehow a coordinated attack by those on the left to prevent him from running again. However, let's be clear, what is happening to President Trump, whether you think it is legitimate or totally bullshit, is 100% bipartisan. It is not a case of liberals versus Trump. It's a hell of a lot of Republicans that are involved in what Trump is going through. So understand that this is, despite whether you believe what's happening to Trump is just totally fabricated out of thin air or a witch hunt, it's not the liberals versus Trump. It's a hell of a lot of Republicans. Now, we can suggest that every Republican going after Trump, suggesting Trump is corrupt, criticizing Trump in any way has somehow become a rhino or a traitor. That's a whole different conversation, but it's not just liberals. It is not just liberals. So we want to talk about with him being indicted now for a 4th time. Are folks going too far? Are the courts going too far? Yeah! Appreciate that hat and mustache there. Thank you for that. Are the courts going too far? Have they decided to target an innocent man that simply wants to run for president and make this country great again? Is President Trump just wrongfully being targeted, did not do anything wrong, and they just decided to start attacking him out of the blue? That's what we're going to be talking about. As always, this is a MAGA-friendly program. It is and shall forever remain that way. MAGA are my preferred guests. Nevertheless, liberals are welcome as well. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone for their commentary. So what do we say in every broadcast? You don't have to agree with the damn host. No one gives a shit if you agree with yours truly or not. You're entitled to your right to speak, and we will preserve that as much as we can on this program. Understand the TikTok gods sometimes have a difference of opinion, but you're never going to have any issue with yours truly because you have a difference of opinion. All right, look, get in the comments, because that's what we're asking. Are the courts going too far, indictment after indictment after indictment? And I do personally believe there is a chance Trump will face possibly a 5th indictment. I'll let you know what I'm talking about in regards to that shortly. Or he could be held in contempt by some of the various judges he's already dealing with because he's not necessarily following the commands of those judges. But I'll tell you about the 5th indictment in a minute. Looking in the comment section, I only wish Ted Cruz, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, and others were indicted too. What has Marjorie Taylor Greene did that would qualify for an indictment? I understand us on the left, we're no fans of MTG, but what has she done worthy of being indicted? I'd have to know what the hell was that. When was America great for Black Americans? The answer is never. The answer is never. He did wrong. Stop covering for him. Nobody's covering. That's what we're here for, is to ask that question and to tackle that with the folks. All right, we're going to go straight to the comment section. I see someone said too much dirt. Bob VQZ, I'm assuming that may mean Vasquez. Good afternoon, Bob. That is what we're asking. If the app lets me know. Good afternoon, Bob. Bob, are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. So,
how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good to have you on. So 4 indictments. Do you think the courts are going too far? Maybe overdoing it a bit?
They're not going to hold You know why? Let me tell you. By this time next year, when everything is going down, there's going to be more people that are going to side with him. He's got good lawyers. He's got the money. Something most people don't have. The good lawyers, the good law firm, they're going to drop this shit like a bad habit.
So
and then you're going to see people want him so bad back in the White House that's going to be unstoppable. You could even lead to civil war. What I would say.
Okay, wait. Well, let's go with that. In regards to suggesting it could lead to civil war, give me the sides. In any war, there is somebody representing one side and somebody representing the other side. What are the sides in a potential civil war?
Well, it's obviously all the MAGA people that hold strong on that side of the GOP. It's gonna, something were to happen, it's gonna make George Floyd burning down of BLM and Antifa look like a child's play.
I get what you're trying to say, but I'm trying to figure what would MAGA be fighting against if we had a civil war, and who are they fighting against? Who's on the other side?
They're obviously going to be fighting against our bullshit politicians, the ones that are trying to lock him up. They would burn the town down. That's what I would think. This is going to spark the outrage on people if you try to even touch them. They were afraid. Remember when they indicted him? What was that guy in New York? The first one earlier. Was it late last year or earlier this year? Where they brought charges in New York. They were afraid of people rising up. I mean, they're afraid.
So at the end of the day, if there is civil unrest, are you saying that the only thing that MAGA is fighting over is keeping Trump free? Are folks really willing to die for President Trump?
Well, you have to understand the culture war. We're very polarized. Trump is only a symptom of everything that's going on. This is what Obama left, unfortunately. But it's already been here for the longest. And the things are too polarized. They're not going to go back to the same way, my friend. There's not going to be no mix-up. You have what we've had for the longest. You have Democrats that are unloyal to the country. You have socialists that were within Democrats that are pissed off because they didn't get their boy Bernie in power. So you have all that wave of anti-Americanism. What do we do with the patriots? What do we do with those of us that love America?
What is your definition? What is your definition of a patriot?
Just an American, red-blooded American who loves the United States, respects his country, honors God, country, family.
And you don't think there's any Democrats that fit that definition?
Of course. I'm not going to say enough of all Democrats. I'm generalizing, of course, but there is, what was seen about 2 years ago up there in Virginia when they had that little standoff against government.
You're talking about Charlottesville. You're talking about Charlottesville.
Yeah. No. I'm talking about before Youngin, the new governor, came in. It was going on 2 years, sorry. So what happened? They had like a standoff because all the Democrats were placing laws against guns, against people that were restricting them. Once they got those Democrats and in their state assembly out, they were able to restore
Snuggles.
Republican and Democrat united. They all came up with their guns. You see, if we go back to that old-fashioned, patriotic, Second Amendment loving people, we could fix our government with a gun in their fucking face.
Well, let me ask you that in regards to, and I appreciate that TikTok cat. I mean that hat and mustache. In regards to going back to the Second Amendment loving individuals, you guys are crazy with the hat. Snuggles, thank you. In regards to Second Amendment loving Americans and getting back to that patriotism. Because I got somebody earlier in the comment section asked, when was America great for African Americans? And I'm going to tie it into what you're saying. Why didn't that Second Amendment loving crowd that you just mentioned, how weren't we able to have so much oppression during that era when you're saying people used to be strong patriots in favor of the Second Amendment? How was the country so oppressive back then?
Now you're talking about another aspect.
No, you mentioned the power of getting back to.
There's been people in power there's been people in power, kind of like they oppress your people, right? Blacks, African Americans.
Well, no, the point I'm making this point in reference to what you said happened in Virginia when people, exercise their Second Amendment rights. They can get things done and they can stand up to being mistreated. You're talking about true patriots, and I'm just simply asking if that is the case. How was there so much oppression in this country during a time when everyone could practice the Second Amendment?
Well, a lot of those white racist supremacists, Ku Klux Klan members running, especially in the part of the South, they used the Second Amendment for the wrong things, for the wrong reasons, to intimidate and to kill black people. I mean, that was well known, bro. I'm not gonna defend that. I don't mean that Second Amendment like that. Not for that use. I'm talking about what it was originally crafted for.
Yeah. And let me make it clear. I'm not trying to make this into a racial conversation.
No.
I'm just bringing this up because I've got you here, and I've had folks before make it sound like if everybody practices their Second Amendment rights, we'll get freedom and all of that type of stuff. And I want to point out that we've had the Second Amendment in this country since it was founded. And most of this country's history, we still found ways to limit freedoms of a hell of a lot of different people. So the argument that the Second Amendment guarantees freedom or even grants you freedom to some degree, I would submit the United States as a counterexample to show a hell of a lot of Second Amendment citizens and a hell of a lot of oppression kind of running side by side. You see what I'm saying?
No, of course. I mean, you're going to have that. But again, when you're able to arm blacks to the teeth now, you're not going to have that ever again. Remember the blacks that were marching down in Georgia by the Confederate cemetery? They were well armed to the teeth.
Yeah, well, so was the Black Panthers back in the 60s.
It goes both ways, brother. It goes both ways. People that need to defend themselves will defend themselves. Their Constitution is there. And believe me, people that want to do things illegally, they'll do that illegally. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like street things and all that shit. But what I'm saying is, for the American-loving person of all races that wants to defend themselves and needs to defend their property and their family, believe me, you will invest in guns. And you'll go against who you ever have to, as long as you defend, self-defense. That's what I mean. Not to be used for criminal activity.
So let me ask you this, because this came in the comments by Keep It Real. I love the name. He's asking, do you not realize the military has tanks and chemical weapons and bombs, etc.? So when you talk about what they did in Virginia, exercising their Second Amendment rights to push back against government, he's pointing out that if the government uses their full capabilities, your Second Amendment rights may not be of any use at all. How do you respond to that?
No, what it means that we're going to be at war. And what you're talking about now is violations of all sorts of Geneva laws that are made at the United Nations regarding.
But you just wait a minute. You just mentioned if Trump is potentially incarcerated or if they mistreat him, we could have a civil war. Do you think during the Civil War people are going to be paying attention to the Geneva Convention?
No, I know. But what I'm trying is this person is alluding to starting using biological and chemical warfare. What makes you think, again, a soldier turning against their captain, against their lieutenant, against their general, with a gun in their face, possibly killing them? How far are they going to get? You're forgetting that within our military is mostly conservative people that go into the military. Okay, sign up for the military. So what are you going to do then? Who's going to control the weapons? Who's going to control the missiles? Who's going to control the tanks? It's not the generals that necessarily know all that shit. All these military officers. It's the young bucks coming in.
So what are you saying? If we have a civil war, members of the military are going to side with the MAGA crowd?
Yeah, it's going to split the military big time. It is mostly conservative. I feel sorry for the liberals. You do not stand a chance. I feel sorry for the socialists. You're going to be wiped out. You should hear a lot of these circles around. They're mostly people in military or ex-military. The way they talk. They're more patriotic than your average American because they've been in military. They've been in wars. So again, I feel sorry for people that do not love this country. You're going to be wiped out. Plain simple.
Wow.
It might not take a day, might take a month, might take a year. There's going to be skirmishes. I can guarantee you that. If they want to take it this way, I mean, we need it overturned. You got to admit, my brother.
No, no, I don't want this.
No,
I think what you're.
I don't want it either. But you have to understand that the very words of Nikita Khrushchev regarding communism and all that trickling down, and then one day we wake up to communism is becoming true.
So let me ask you this. Let's say we do have a civil war, and MAGA, as you point out, you believe MAGA will easily wipe out the liberals that do not like America. So let's say MAGA wins this civil war. What type of America will we have once MAGA has assumed control by force?
To restoring a government of the people, by the people. That's what they want. A respect for the Constitution. Leave people, limit government, like our like our founding fathers wanted it. Limit the Constitution, limit the government, actually not limit the Constitution, but limit the powers of government. This would reset, everything would go reset.
So you believe that if MAGA, we have a civil war and MAGA wins by force with President Trump as the leader, he's going to limit the power of government, which he is in control of?
Well, yeah, a good president would limit his power and limit the size of federal government. Federal government is a problem, has always been the problem, followed by state government. Their powers need to be restricted and brought down to almost close to nothing.
What has Trump ever did to lead you to believe that if he was commander in chief, particularly by force, first thing he would do is limit his own power?
You know why? Because he's probably already convinced that there's these talks that have been talked with him, and he's seeing the abuses just alone against him. Imagine the next guy that's the next Trump in line, and they try to do this shit. Look at how they're misusing funds, misusing their power.
Okay.
We got to stop that corruption. Let me tell you something. All this is going to go, if nothing happens, right? If nothing happens, no civil war, no skirmish, no nothing. Hopefully not, right? I'm not wishing for one. I don't want one. You don't want one, right?
No.
You want to go back to your activity, your job, your family, your loved one, the habitual life you have, and that you're accustomed to comforts, right? Okay, I want to go back to that. I don't want to be fighting anybody. So what ends up happening? Nothing happens, right? No war, no bloodshed, no nothing. What ends up happening, he's still going to have to reset the government. We need to clean the government. Whether Trump is in power or not, the government is the problem, needs to be reset.
But wait a minute. Why in the hell did Trump not do this while he was in office?
Because I believe he had a lot of the wrong people, the old Republicans, and they had their own agendas. The example would be the Reince Priebus and the people that were choosing for. But
he promised to drain the swamp. Why so many excuses? Why didn't he drain the swamp when he was in office?
Because the problem is when you start telling them you're going to drain the swamp, they start preparing. If I tell you I'm going to go rob your house tonight, you start preparing to take me down. You don't wait around and say, oh, nothing's going to happen.
So if he gets reelected, what makes you think that's not going to happen again?
Why? Because I think if you bring in the right people and stop listening to the old GOP that have their own stuff.
Do you see?
Guess what?
Okay, let's go with bringing the right people. Do you think Dr. Oz, Herschel Walker, was that his example of bringing the right people?
Herschel Walker, I don't mind. Dr. Oz was very questionable why he backed him up. But you know what? I would prefer Dr. Oz over that Feldman.
Well, I get it, but I get your point. Obviously, you prefer him over Fetterman, but I'm trying to figure out what has Trump done to make you think that he is he? What has Trump done to lead you to believe he has decided or he's corrected his habit of putting in the wrong people? What have you seen from him to make you believe if he gets reelected, he's going to do better?
Going through all this witch hunt, going through all the shit he's gone, and listening to the old GOP that got him in these problems too, because they're very what is it, like a snake, they're very treacherous, and viper. They backstabbed him. I think he's learned his way not to be trustful of just the old guard, the old GOP. The rhinos, I would think he would be by now.
That's all of, but that I gotta move it on. But that is all of Washington. How in 4 years?
Brother, it needs to be reset. We need a clean reset and people to go to jail and the swamp to be drained and all the people behind it. Don't worry about the politicians.
Okay.
But those need to be brought up.
All right.
Look at the people behind.
I got to move it on. All right, fair enough. All right, Bob. All right, come on back. Now, and I seen on YouTube, we're on TikTok doing the live. Will, I did see your comment. And you pointed out that one of the viewers pointed out that Trump was going to court and being investigated the entire time he was president. So that is oftentimes, that's very kind. I'll go back to the box real quick, but that is the common response to why Trump did not accomplish some of his signature promises, is that, well, they wasn't giving him a chance. He was constantly being impeaching. What the hell you think is going to happen if he gets reelected? You don't think all of that is going to continue to happen? So if you believe that constantly being in court, constantly being, as MAGA might suggest, constantly being harassed is going to prevent him from running the country properly, you think they're going to lay low on him if he gets reelected? So, like my last caller is suggesting, and many folks on the right is also suggesting, that Trump is going to come in and clean house, get rid of all the bad people. He's talking about a complete reset. You think one guy can do all of this in Washington in a span of 4 years? The only way, the absolute only way that any leader could do this is through a dictatorship. There is absolutely no way in hell one guy, with all of the appeals process, the courts and all of that, that one guy could accomplish all that in 4 years. It's laughable. There's no way possible. Every senator, every politician, losing my voice, every politician he's trying to clear is going to be fighting back. You can't accomplish all this shit in 1 year. Unless he's a dictator. Going back to the box. 4 years, you can't do all of this. It's impossible. Snuggles, good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hello.
Hey, I'm assuming you were listening in.
Yes, I was listening in, but I just want to congratulate Donald Trump. We're at 0 convictions. A few little court cases ahead of him, and just like a traffic ticket, we'll get past it and we'll move forward.
You're giving him you're congratulating him for 0 convictions. How many?
Absolutely.
Okay, so how many acquittals has he gotten so far?
2 acquittals, the impeachments.
Okay, all right. What about he's facing 78 federal charges, 41 state? How many acquittals?
Bogus.
Huh?
Bogus. It's all BS. It's all a buildup. The swamp is sinking. Don't worry, we'll get through it. And you know what? Why don't we make a little wager on this since we're live?
What is the bet? Give me the parameters.
Let's see.
We're talking, before you do that, we're talking about 119 charges. You think he's going to be
charges.
He's going to beat all of that?
Absolutely. I mean, if OJ can be found not guilty, this will be a rising occasion right here today.
I would bet $20 and pay $60 that does not happen. What is your parameters? What is your parameters?
Okay, let's just make it $50 bet.
Okay, I'll give you 100. That's how certain I am that this man is not going to be found.
Well, you know, sadly, I'm very sorry for you, but where there's an offense, there's a defense, bro. And we are going to slam it just like we did the impeachment hearings. You guys were all over me. Everybody was all over me, not you particularly. Everybody's like, yeah, Russian collusion. Then find out there was no Russian collusion. Found out all this stuff was fake. The news is fake.
Well, first of all, let me be clear. Let me be clear. Even though the Russian collusion did not evolve into any damn thing, he wasn't 100% clear. So I think that
he was.
He was investigating.
Mueller said on the congressional stand, there is no findings of Russian collusion.
But that doesn't mean. Wait a minute. No, that's not what he said. He said that I cannot clear him, but I cannot convict him. That's what he said.
Right. That means what?
That means it's unfounded.
Right, it's unfounded. There's no Russian collusion. Amen.
No.
And the subject. They
Okay.
did they arrest him? Did they convict him? Did they?
No.
You know.
No, they didn't. They
I
didn't.
mean, there's no Russian collusion. There's no need to go after him.
All right, fair enough. We disagree on that, but we'll let that one go. So you do believe, at the end of the day, just like with Russian collusion, he will survive 119 charges. He'll beat all of these.
Absolutely. This is just, it's insane. I mean, what did this guy do to endanger you and me as a president? What did he do to endanger? We had no world war. We had no world wars around anything. Ukraine was never invaded by Russia. We didn't have military ships surrounding Taiwan and then coming through Alaska. We didn't have any of this stuff. I mean, Trump had a Middle East peace plan. He had a great economy. What did he do to ruin America?
Well, I'll answer that. I'll answer that. I'll answer that. One of the things we often give Trump credit for is we did not have any conflict on the world stage, as you pointed out. No new wars. What we totally give Trump a pass on is we almost had one here. You see what my last caller was talking about, civil war and all of that shit. America itself was divided and fighting among each other.
I think your guest was drinking a little bit too much there. We're never going to have a civil war. Give me a break.
Well, let's tackle.
You think we're that Trump hard to start a civil war? If Trump loses, JFK is going to get the vote because we don't like Biden either way. So your little can you imagine JFK winning? And then you guys will be crying. Those Republicans voted for JFK, and I would love him to win. So that's our backup.
I actually thought, you know, what you just said when you suggested that my last caller was crazy with the Civil War, but then you said JFK.
What?
It's like breaking down, hitchhiking, and having somebody stop to pick you up, and then their shit breaks down too.
Wait, so you honestly think Biden's doing a good job? JFK talked about improving the United States. Biden hasn't done nothing right now. We're 3 years in, and you're driving down your car. Are you driving down the road, seeing those damn gas prices? You look frustrated in your car.
Well, let me.
Don't fake smile at me.
Here's the issue. Here's the issue. When we talk about President Trump and why he is the commander in chief we need to have, we often bring up gas prices and the economy. There's a lot of people voting for other shit. What about women? What about women's right? Wait. What about women's right to choose? Who should you vote for if you believe a woman should have a right to choose?
That's a bunch of baloney. We don't talk about that. When we vote, we talk about what's in our pockets and how we can afford to get stuff in our family done.
Every single American.
We're not able to afford that.
Hold on, wait a minute. You think every single American is struggling significantly under Biden right now? Nobody's prospering at all.
I think there's a vast amount of middle class people that are in lower class. I think they're having a little bit of a struggle. It's been said in the news. And listen, don't talk about women's rights. This is America, people. Get your facts straight. It's free here. Don't worry about your rights. You have the freedoms to say anything you want to do. You always go back to the past. Oh, women can't do this and women can't do that. No, listen, women have rights, okay, all the time.
So you don't see rolling back Roe v. Wade as affecting women at all then?
No, it shouldn't affect women at all. If they can't get in that state alone, they're going to have to move to another state. Okay, it's not,
So you passed. Wait a minute. So you've passed a law that is, if a woman wants to have the right to choose, you've passed a law that now requires her to leave her home state and go somewhere else, and you refer to that as not affecting women at all.
Listen here. It costs $10,000 for a tooth. You think I'm going to pay for that here? No, I'm going to go to Tijuana to go get a cheaper tooth in my mouth. All right, so I don't get an infection.
Thank you.
All right, so
TX.
Nobody's stopping me from going to another country to get cheaper teeth in my mouth.
So how do you think women? Wait a minute. How do you think women should feel about having to go to a different state to get what they used to be able to get done right in their own hometown?
Well, you know what? Write to your little governor in that state. If you
that ain't answering the question. That ain't answering the question.
What?
How do you believe women should feel where they used to be able to get something done in town? Now they may have to go hundreds or 1,000 miles away to get it done. How do you think women feel about that?
You're acting like it's being done every day. You're
not answering the question. You're not answering the question.
I'm just saying. You're acting like everybody needs an abortion every day. Nobody needs an abortion every day. You know,
Snuggles,
it's
wait,
not
wait,
like a
Snuggles.
McDonald's drive-through.
Snuggles,
all right?
You're passing law. You're talking about people don't need an abortion every day while passing laws that prevent somebody who transgendered from playing for the other team. Talking about things that don't get done every day. If you want to talk about something, how many schools in America are worried about a biologically born male trying to play on a female sports team? If you want to talk about something that doesn't get done every day, what about that?
Well, it's up to the people.
Oh, so now it changes. So now it changes. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
I mean, I don't agree with it.
So I'm going to ask that question again. If a woman now has to travel hundreds, if not 1,000 miles or more to have something done that she could have done in her own hometown, how should women feel about that?
Well, I think it's time for a road trip. Take your little husband with you, a little hubby there with you, and just go take a little road trip, get her done, and go back home. You know what I'm saying? I know that the Biden gasoline's kind of hard. I know that would be like a $500 trip. I mean, but if Trump was president, it would be $1.89 a gallon. You'd be fine to take that little road trip.
So the road trip, the little $500 trip you're talking about now, that kind of eradicates all of the savings of that $2 gas. Now all of a sudden, now you got to drive 1,000 miles. We gave you $2 gas, and just in time, because we passed a law that's going to make you use that $2 gas to drive 1,000 miles.
And you know what? She should blame the guy. Why did he wear that rubber? You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? It takes two when they're having booty. I'm just telling you, Mr. Handsome. It takes two people.
What about if she sex? What about if she sex? Wait a minute. What about in those rare cases? And I do admit they're rare, but what about in those rare cases where she's sexually assaulted, and you folks on the Republican side of the aisle in some states are still saying you're going to have this child? How should women feel about that?
Well, I'm not against. I'm against that. Actually, I'm against that and incest. Okay, that's a serious issue there. But unfortunately, in that state, you take a family member with you, and you have to adjust to your surroundings. You can't blame everything. I mean, if it went to the state level, you have to adjust to where you're going. You have to adjust. If it doesn't happen, if you're a sexually active person, I would not suggest for you to live in that state. All right.
And women should continue. So women should just move to a different state and continue voting for Republicans that cause them to move.
Yes, women and men now. Now that men want to be women, yeah, they should both move. Okay, move.
All right.
Move. If that state doesn't give you the resources that you need, you move.
You know, I honestly wish, I got 600 plus folks in there. I wish I had a larger crowd because I would put you on the loop. You are probably one of the best gifts for liberals come election time. Snuggles, I do have to move it on. Hopefully TikTok frames your comments because you definitely sound worthy of repeating. I got to move it on though. Appreciate you coming in.
Always.
Absolute. Catch you on the next one. Good talk with Snuggles.
Bye, my friend.
Snuggles is a friend of the program. Understand that. We have a banter back and forth. We probably don't agree even on the color of the sky. Nevertheless, what I always say, it's all about free speech. I don't censor, block, or ban anyone, and it's always a pleasure talking to Snuggles, even though he gives me a chuckle. Tap the screen, get your boy up to 30,000 likes. I appreciate you folks rolling with your boy. You could be anywhere you want to be on this app. It's always an honor having you here for that moment. Looking in the comments, I see more than one person suggesting that my last caller was privileged. Meme says a privileged white man. Fair enough. All right, looking in the comments before we go back to the box. Iowa and Missouri have different laws. Terry ships that is true, but both of those states are red states, and they're both trying to ban abortion. In fact, I believe Iowa just recently had its governor try to pass a heartbeat bill. So the moment a heartbeat can be detected, you no longer can have the procedure done. And most women do not even realize they have conceived until a heartbeat can be detected. A lot of women do. I'm a guy, as you can see. I identify as a male. So I don't want to speak on this issue because it's not something that will ever face me. And I just personally feel it would be wrong for me to tell a woman how she should deal with it when she's the one that's going through it and I have nothing to do with it. But, I understand folks have a difference of opinion, most of it based on Christianity. So much for separation of church and state. Looking in the comments, Trump killed the American people with CV. Huh? I'm assuming that's the pandemic. I don't buy into that, because despite how awful Trump was during the pandemic, he is responsible for Operation Warp Speed. And us on the left credit the vaccine for saving, millions of lives, tens of millions of lives around the world. So Trump cannot take credit for that because of how poorly he rolled it out. Even when he talks about taking the vaccine to his own audience, they boo him. However, he is responsible for it. Trump should be taking credit for saving millions of lives. In the comments, Will said, women need to be more responsible when it comes to sex. And you often hear it. I'll go to the box after this comment, but it's not uncommon to hear folks on the right suggest that as opposed to allowing women to have an abortion, they should just be more responsible when it comes to sex. The crazy thing is, when us folks on the left talk about, taking away the Second Amendment or limiting gun rights in any way, fashion, or form, the often response is, you cannot legislate morality. You can't fix stupid. But for some reason, when it comes to abortion, they tend to think exactly the opposite, as if you can legislate to someone and force them to become responsible. I think the war on drugs and even the Second Amendment to some degree has shown no law is going to make people become responsible. The war on drugs, we got really draconian on the punishments, on the prison times. Folks are still suffering from sentences they received during the war on drugs decades ago. Did it stop anybody in America from getting high? Did it stop you from having access to whatever the hell you needed to take the edge off? No, it did not. But when we come to abortion, we think that, well, if you pass a law, women are going to keep their legs closed, or as one Republican politician talked about using an aspirin. Why did the mindset change all of a sudden? Going to the box. And someone did say hypocrisy. I got to agree with that. Electric Wolf. Good afternoon, 4 or 5. Welcome back to the program. So we're talking about Trump. Indictment number 4. And I will tell you, folks, I do believe there's a possibility of a 5th indictment. And I'll explain it to you in a minute. But Wolf, I don't want to say the Democrats, because Trump is not just solely being indicted by Democrats, but are the courts going too far on the former commander-in-chief?
Yeah, since day one, they've gone too far.
Since day one. So you believe in regards to the 2 impeachments, and now we're talking 119 federal and state charges. You think he's innocent of everything?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's not like he's innocent. I mean, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. I mean, they haven't proved anything. That's the thing.
Well, he hasn't went to court.
Guilty or not, they haven't proved anything.
Yeah, but then what's making you suggest they're going too far? He hasn't went to court. He may be guilty of a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so. Because the thing is, you keep going to the same. It's like everybody's like, well, everybody's entitled. No one's above the law, and they try to. All of a sudden, the Democratic Party turns around and tries to be the party of law and order, and it's a joke, because it's only for when they deem it worthy, and they think, well, because Trump beat the shit out of us while he was in office, and because he exposed all this stuff, we're gonna go after him. That's not law and order.
When you say when you say in regards to Trump, we're going to go after him, who represents we?
The Democratic Party.
Yeah. And see, I want to counter you on this, because Trump is saying the same thing. And here's where I disagree. It makes more sense and fits the agenda of President Trump to make it look like it's a battle of him against the liberals. However, there is a laundry list of Republicans going after Trump that have not. I mean, look at Mike Pence. Mike Pence is not a liberal. There's nothing liberal about the man.
Right. You know what? And I apologize. You're absolutely right. And there are a lot of Republicans that want to go after him. Yeah. And I totally see it because of the fact that he's upsetting their card. He's upsetting the card of where
Republicans screw over Democrats, Democrats screw over Republicans, back and forth in government, nothing gets done, and they get rich.
So if you realize that, why do Trump keep suggesting it's liberals when we got, someone said 84 Republicans, I see somebody in the comments saying 84 Republicans are going, this is clearly a bipartisan effort. It's not liberals. It is both parties going after this guy.
Well, the thing is it's like, the thing is to me, this is just my opinion. Liberals are going along with everything they're saying about Trump because they just love people shitting in their face, telling them it's dark. They love it. I mean, they'll eat up anything the Democratic Party tells them. They toe the line. They'll be like, yeah, he's evil. There was no war. Yeah, but he's still evil. It doesn't matter. I mean, no matter what he does, the Democratic Party already told them. And they're listening because that's the mentality of Democrats and liberals. They're huge followers.
Well,
the thing about with Republicans going after him is because Republicans don't like the fact that the people actually support them, because the Democrats are used to rich donors supporting them and getting them elected.
So
but now all that's turning around.
Wait a minute. But you said the Republicans are going after him for what reason again?
Because he's upsetting their what they think is their brand, what they think they own, and they don't own anything. The thing is that Trump represents people, regardless of Republican, Democrat, independent, stuff like that. Just independent.
When did he start?
Democrats that are seeing it too.
When did Trump start representing people and things like that you're suggesting? When did this start?
The second he came down the elevator. The second he came down that escalator. That's when.
So Mike Pence went with Trump while he was representing people, as you're talking about, but now he's against him. So when I asked you why are Republicans going against Trump, and you're saying because he represents people, why is Mike Pence going against him?
Because Mike Pence was Mike Pence secured a certain vote for him at the time. I guess it was the evangelicals or whatever. Like he needed to, I guess, stabilize him somehow or whatever.
Huh?
But then now Pence comes out as a typical politician that, I talked to the grant, and he's so proud of himself that he talked to the special counsel and stuff like that, and it was horrible what happened in January 6th. He's just being a politician and he's running for president, but he's not even going to come close to the office. He's never going to come close to the office.
Is there any possibility at all that Mike Pence is not doing it for personal gain, but doing it because he believed he was doing what was right?
I mean, I guess I can't see into his heart, but I mean, a lot of it too has to be that he just doesn't. Trump rubs him the wrong way because he's not his kind of person. You know what I mean?
But if Trump rubs Mike Pence the wrong way because he's not his type of person, why wasn't Trump saying this up to January the 5th? Up to January 5, Trump was speaking positively of Mike Pence throughout his entire term.
Yeah. I mean, he was his vice president. I mean, he was always good with him. He was talking to the wife and stuff like that. I'm sure many times Mike Pence and his wife rolled the eyes when Trump was talking to him, and Trump's like, yeah, I know, that's who I am. I mean, it's just the way it was.
But what I'm saying, let me ask it to you. Let me rephrase it and ask it to you this way. If Mike Pence had did what Trump wanted him to do on January 6th, do you think MAGA would still have the same opinion of Mike Pence?
If he would have done what Trump wanted?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Probably not. I mean, probably they would have seen that. Okay, you know what? This guy is actually believing what we're talking about. Like they said, everything's a challenge. Okay. I mean, if Mike Pence would have done what he wanted him to do, like recall the electors and all that stuff and all that, and then it would have gone to the Supreme Court and they would have said, no, you're wrong. Okay, then they're wrong and you can't do that. Or the Supreme Court would have said, yeah, you're right. And it's like they said, it's never been tried. So if you're going to try it, try it. What's the problem? That's what's great about this democracy.
So what are we judging Mike Pence on? Loyalty or actually doing what's right by the Constitution? If all he had to do was be loyal to Trump, and he would have this much more favorable reputation.
A lot of people look at the way January 6th took place, and they think it's a chicken shit way out that he took out. Like he just took the easy way out, just like the courts did during the elections and stuff.
But what about Mike Pence? What about Mike Pence standing by Trump for 4 straight years? Is that one act? Is that one act all he is worth?
Well, yeah, because think about it. If he asked you to be his vice president, and he's president, you know he wins. You're going to be vice president, handsome. You're all in. You're all in.
No.
I mean, because you're going to be vice president of the United States. You don't think he got a bunch of perks through that shit? And then he turns around at the last time when he needs him to like really come through with some balls, and he's like, "Oh no, I don't think I can because it's unconstitutional and it's never been tried and this and that." And they go to the typical vanilla shit that they do. They have no balls. There's no more balls anymore to try and see if this is a way to go.
But if he is being told by folks, by scholars and lawyers on his side that he can't do it,
both sides were being told. Both sides of that argument were being told.
I'm talking about Mike Pence specifically.
Yeah.
If he is suggesting that he is being told he can't do it, you're saying he should have went against his own people?
Well, not all the people were telling him that.
That ain't what he's saying. That's not what he's saying.
No, but he picked a side. He picked a side and said, no, these guys are telling me no, so no. It's that simple. He picked a side. And I understand he picked a side, but to me, he picked the wrong side. He just took a pussy way out. That's all it is. I mean, he just took the coward's way and said, okay, no, we can't do it, and that's it, the end of it. No one wants to challenge the system of the government and see if, put actual constitutional scholars to the test. And let's lay it out there and see if he can do it or not. What's the worst you're going to lose? Nothing.
What's the worst you're going to lose? Go talk to Rudolph Giuliani or Sidney Powell or something. You might lose your damn freedom. You might lose your legacy.
Yeah, but again, see, you're thinking this is a genuine, honest, law-abiding DA that went after him and stuff like that. No, it's not. It's all political. Okay. You guys try to hang your hat that these people are all honest Joes when you know deep down inside they're scumbags. They're doing it for political purposes. That's the only reason. If his name was not Trump, it wouldn't happen.
Well, if his name was not Trump, you probably wouldn't be doing all this stuff. But let me ask you, I got to move.
You see what I mean? Automatically, because it's Trump, he's guilty.
I didn't say he was guilty. I didn't say he was. I didn't say he was guilty. I'm saying that you guys like Trump for the same reason the liberals you're talking about hate him. Is because he does shit that nobody else would do. So
that's right.
Yeah.
What's wrong with that?
It gets you in trouble.
What law did he break? What law did he break? No laws.
Okay.
He hasn't broken any laws.
Okay.
You all make it seem like he went and strangled a little baby in the middle of the street, and we just found out, and oh my God, that's horrible. He didn't do shit. Come on.
How do you know he didn't do shit if it hasn't even been adjudicated in court yet?
Because he fought over an election, handsome. Who cares? Who cares?
So let me ask you.
He had private file or confidential files. Who gives a shit? There's so much more worse things that this government's doing to the people, and we're gonna concern about a guy because we don't like his tan.
So let's go with what you just said. Let's go with what you said. Who cares? So at the end of the day, are we talking about Trump being innocent, or is he guilty of stuff and you just don't care about it?
No, it just doesn't. It's not important. Who gives a shit? I mean, look at all the shit Hillary Clinton did, and you guys don't care, right?
All right,
it's important to you, right?
At least you answered it fairly. I gotta move it on, though, Electric. You know what I gotta do. I
like your hat.
That was nice. That was really nice. Thank you, whoever just sent that to me. Appreciate that. I definitely always appreciate that. Catch you on the next one. I always love talking to you, Wolf. All right. Looking in the comments, and I think what my last caller suggested is probably quite accurate for a lot of folks who support Trump. There it is again, Andy. Andy, thank you for the hat. A lot of Trump supporters, in my humble opinion, I don't think they really think he's innocent. I think it's what he just said. Maybe he did do that shit, but some folks like Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden and his son have done worse, and we don't even give a damn about that. I believe that is far more accurate of a representation of how Trump supporters feel. They don't think he's innocent. They just think this stuff is minor and you're messing with somebody you would not mess with otherwise. Being candid, I do believe there's a slight amount of validity to that, particularly on the case of the one out of New York where he's being accused of paying off Stormy Daniels with campaign funds. I do believe that if Trump was a a more kinder, gentler president. Oh, the boxing gloves, Crystal, and no problem. Damn, you guys are kind today. Thank you. I do believe if Trump was a more personable individual, he would not be dealing with that case out of New York. Now, the documents case, the difference between him and Pence is the constant resistance with the feds. Whereas looks like Biden, at the very least, could have been trying to wrongfully hold on to documents, but there is no instance where the feds was trying to get the shit back and he was pushing back. Same thing with Mike Pence. There's no instance of him trying to hold on to documents that he had no right to keep. In Biden's case, Biden may have been up to no good. That's possible. But there is no issue with him trying to obstruct the feds and getting them back. Trump is the only one that's accused of doing that. And it appears, unlike with Mike Pence and with President Biden, a lot of folks in Trump's inner circle are working with the feds and stating, yeah, Dot. Thank you for the hat and mustache. You guys are thank you. There's a lot of folks in Trump inner circle that are coming forward and testifying to the government that yes, he knew he wasn't supposed to have these documents and was actively trying to hide it. Remember the Hunter Biden's laptop 10% to the big guy? Well, coming out of Mar-a-Lago is a technical specialist that's saying the big guy wanted us to clear out, what is it, the server, or clear out whatever the hell it was, but he was trying to get him to do something as well. And that guy is working with the federal government. Now, whether you think Trump is innocent or guilty, I just want to point out a actual fact that our penal institutions rather, are loaded with inmates that were convicted based on eyewitness testimony or folks that were close associates of the condemned. A lot of Trump's close associates are testifying against him. That's all I'm saying. You can think he's innocent all you want. You're entitled to that opinion. I'm just simply saying, using close associates, lieutenants like in the mafia and in the gang world, your best friend snitching on you, that probably represents a large portion of inmates, having somebody snitch on them. Now, in the Trump world, most folks who support President Trump just throw out any testimony coming from any snitch as being something being done for personal gain. Mike Pence is doing it because he's Trump's competition and he wants the job. Same with Chris Christie, or this person is a rhino or that person is a traitor. You know how many snitches tell on people for personal gain? Damn near all of them. And they still convict people with that testimony all damn day long. So if the goal is to go to court and say, well, Mike Pence is totally discredited because he's running for office, how many people have snitched on somebody, got a conviction, and actually got their own sentence or charges thrown out because they snitched? That shit happens every day in court. But somebody as credible as Mike Pence or Attorney General Barr, we're going to throw out their testimony? Really? Because both Barr and Pence, Trump is planning on suggesting that he didn't know he lost the election. That's why he went there on January 6th suggesting that he won and Biden took it from him. Both Barr and Pence have stated, thank you for that, Shannon Knight Armor, thank you. Both Barr and Pence have stated that they will testify under oath that they told President Trump numerous times that most of the shit he was claiming that happened, whether it was votes in leaks, dead people voting, immigrants voting, that they told him that stuff was unfounded, including Dominion voting machines. They're willing to testify under oath. We're talking about Barr and Pence. So ain't no liberals. This is not Biden or somebody. This is people that Trump appointed to his own administration. And they're willing to testify under oath that they told him this stuff several times. Now, remember, Attorney General Barr has some responsibility for tracking down some of the leads that Trump was suggesting, such as the Freeman woman out in Georgia that they claim was playing games at the ballot box. They traced this stuff down. Dave, the pug. Wow. Okay. All right. That's good shit. Thank you. Thank you for that. I've never seen that before. That's good shit. They've traced down these leads. So when Trump gets up there and says that, well, I thought I won, and they ask him, well, what led you to believe that? And he started naming dead people voting and immigrants and, Dominion voting machines. How many of these things is Attorney General Barr going to testify that we actually took what you said into consideration, sent a team of feds to that state or to that ballot office, did an investigation, and came back and told you there is nothing to this? Remember, a jury has to hear all of this. If Barr actually follows through and does what he said, which is he is willing to testify under oath, you can be damn sure the feds are going to call him up. So when Trump says he thought he won and he started giving all these reasons, and then the feds come forward and say, we tracked all this shit down and told you there was nothing to it, and you still kept saying it anyway, that could present a problem for President Trump. Just want to point that out. And before I go back to the box, always tap the screen. 600 plus of you in here, tap the screen, get your boy likes up to 60,000. Y'all can make that happen. I talked about the possibility of a fifth indictment. Just wanted to give you my spiel on it. If you think I'm full of shit, feel free to tell me that in the comments. You know I don't ban block or censor any damn body. You're entitled to your free speech. When I say the fifth indictment, which is why I'm saying, are they going too far? These things keep coming up. I mean, he's done a lot of shit that people are concerned with. But the fifth indictment, remember Black Lives Matter in 2020? Raising all of this money, suggesting it's going to go to African-American causes. Turns out the shit went to purchase mansions and yachts. A lot of the money was used for their own personal benefit. Some of them got charged with crimes such as mail fraud, wire fraud. You can't raise money for fraudulent causes. Why the hell am I bringing this up in reference to Trump in a fifth indictment? Remember Stop the Steal of the same year Black Lives Matter was raising money as well? Trump raised a hell of a lot of money under the promise to stop the election from being stolen by Biden and the liberals. Currently in 2023, yeah, Justin Hayes, thank you for the hat and mustache. Currently we're in 2023. There is not a single court in America that has ruled that the liberals or Biden was stealing the election. Yet they raised millions of dollars suggesting this was happening, and the question could be asked, where did the money go? Just like with Black Lives Matter, you're raising money for a cause. Where was it actually spent? Obviously, there was not a lot of money spent preventing the election from being stolen because they can't even prove it happened. This could easily lead into a fifth indictment, and I'm only bringing it up not from my own mindset. I don't know what the hell's going on. I've heard it mentioned by a couple legalese. You cannot raise millions of dollars on a fraudulent cause. Like a lot of these folks with these damn GoFundMes suggesting somebody has cancer or something like that, and they get in trouble for that. If you're saying the election is being stolen and people are paying you a ton of money, like Steve Bannon, all of the money you raised to go to the wall that didn't get built, well, you got to get that money back. What were you actually using that money for? Trump could be facing a fifth indictment. Just wanted to bring that up. All right, going back to the box. We'll keep it moving with Craig Lynch. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program. 4 indictments in 4 months. Are the courts, I'm not going to say the liberals because it's happening from both sides, but Craig, are the courts going too far, constantly indicting Trump?
I don't think there are too many.
You don't think there's too many?
I think there'd be already more.
What else should he be indicted for?
That's what I think. He had to do more. I mean, I just want my opinion.
So you think that Trump was just like, you basically see Trump as like a career criminal politician?
We did it all in his companies and casinos and went out of business, stuff like that.
Well, but you got to understand there's a statute of limitations.
Yeah, I agree, but can I ask a question about the other guest?
Sure, go ahead.
The first guest, Bob, I think he wants to start a war and burn down cities.
Why? Why do you say that?
That's what I think. That's what he said, basically.
Yeah.
And your second guest is bashing women.
You talking about?
Oh.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
And women can't go to other cities and other states to get a divorce.
But let me ask you that in regards to him talking about women should just go to a different city or state if they don't like abortion being limited in their area. How do you think the women vote will end up? There's a lot of liberal, or better yet, women governors out here, like governor of Iowa, governor of South Dakota, that are governor of Alabama, I believe. They're supporting a lot of these tough laws on rolling back Roe v. Wade. So will the women in the end stand up for this right, or do they believe what the Republican Party is saying?
I don't think that they would stay there, but I don't know.
Well, if the women do not stand up, I mean, we could have Trump as 47. I mean, are you okay with Trump coming back possibly?
No way in hell.
What do you think America would be like if Trump gets reelected?
Be like a civil war, like that guy said. Because there's a lot of people would do a lot of stuff, and like Antifa and stuff like that, to get him out and have a civil war.
So you think if Trump actually gets reelected, it's really going to be the liberals that are going to start a fight and start a civil war because they don't like him getting reelected?
I think it's MAGA. I know you like MAGA, but I think MAGA would start it.
Why would they start a war if Trump wins?
Well, they wouldn't start it, but Antifa would.
Okay, all right. Well, and I don't want to necessarily suggest that Antifa is a left-leaning organization. I mean, they believe in, what are they, anti-fascism. So I don't want to, a lot of folks try to put Antifa in with Black Lives Matter and all that shit, but Antifa is really its own organization. But you do see civil unrest. So what if Trump is ultimately convicted? I don't know if he'll be incarcerated, but what if he's convicted and he's prevented from running for office? Do you see any civil unrest then?
I think MAGA would do something.
Give me a circumstance where MAGA won't do anything.
If he's voted in, they won't do nothing.
You just said if he wins, they would.
I said that if they didn't get in, they would do a civil war, but if you get in, they do nothing.
Okay. So in other words, if Trump gets in, then with them doing nothing, then the country will function as normal.
Then Antifa would do something.
But there's not a lot of Antifa in this country, though, Craig. I mean, most cities in America don't have Antifa, any major Antifa presence.
Well, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So based on what...
Your last guest said there was no voter fraud. 61 courts said there wasn't no voter fraud.
Yeah. I think that, when it comes to the voter fraud thing, I don't have access to ballot offices. I don't have access to Dominion voting machines or any of this shit. So I got to go with what the courts say, particularly when it's dozens of courts saying the same thing. I can't look at Trump and say, you know more than all of these courts. So, in my opinion, with so many different courts and so many different jurisdictions and states saying that there's no election fraud, even when the judges are appointed by President Trump, I don't see what else you can go with other than there must not be election fraud.
I agree with that.
Yeah. All right, Craig, I do got to move it on. Appreciate you coming in, though, man.
Thank you very much.
Absolute. Looking in the comments, I like to watch. A lot of names says game over, and that's my humble opinion. And listen, although I lean left, I enjoyed conversations with MAGA. They're my preferred guest on the program. Nevertheless, if I don't have access to ballot offices, and neither do most of the viewers, how are you going to tell all of these courts, the feds, who I understand you don't trust, that's fine. A lot of us don't trust the feds. But people who actually have access, who actually have the power to put people under oath, subpoena folks and every damn thing else. How are you going to tell all of them they don't know what the hell they're talking about? and us citizens with little to no assets do, without seeing any evidence. There's not enough evidence to suggest that all 60 courts or 59 courts that ruled against Trump got it wrong. A lot of the judges were appointed by Trump himself. I've said it before that even if it was my own mom and all of these people were saying the same damn thing about her from different parts of the country, I would look at mom and say, you sure all of these people are lying about you? All of these different people that don't have no communication with each other. Some of them are on the Republican side of the aisle. Some of them are on the liberal side of the aisle. Some are in the South. Some are in the North. Some are out west like Arizona. All of these people are lying about you? Really? I'd have a hard time believing that, even if it was my own mom. Looking in the comments, they said Gangam was a what the hell does that mean, Jay? That hat is treacherous, sir. What is up with the hat? I want to ask you folks, and I've heard this before from some of my guests previously. Some folks, particularly folks on the left, but even some anti-Trump Republicans, have suggested that this hat pictured here is going to have a legacy, going to go down in history similar to the Confederate flag. Do you see any possibility, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever the case may be, that folks will view the MAGA hat similar to the Confederate flag? Is that ridiculous, or do you see that's a possibility? Looking in the comments, can I wipe my ass with DC says, can I wipe my ass with that hat? That is awful. That is fucking awful. Kind of funny, but that's wrong. Cause of you leftists, says Brownsbacker. Well, as I pointed out, you know, it benefits Trump, and Brownsbacker is certainly a friend of the program. It benefits Trump to make it like it's a war between Republicans and liberals, or Trump and liberals. But your comment that this hat may go down in history with a negative view, it's not just liberals. There's a lot of independents. You think the Bush family are liberals? You think the Cheney family are liberals? Romney? Now Mike Pence? Are these all liberals? There's a lot of folks, a lot of anti-Trump Republicans that don't have a damn thing to do with the liberal party. In fact, every living Republican president, former Republican president, or former Republican presidential winner for that side of the aisle, Republican contender, they all don't like Trump. Whether it's the Bush family, what's left of the Reagan family doesn't like Trump. We had Mitt Romney as the Republican nominee back in 2012, or 2012. He's not a fan of Trump. John McCain, a Republican nominee in 2008, didn't even want Trump at his damn funeral. So it's not just the liberals that are pushing against Trump, wanting Trump to be, you know, held accountable in the court of law. It's a lot of Republicans. But for the sake of argument, for the sake of the agenda, it is beneficial to suggest it's the liberals against me. It's not, though. It's not just, it is clearly a bipartisan effort. In fact, how many Republican senators, out of all of the ones we have, or Republican congressmen and women, out of all of the ones we have, or Republican governors, out of all of the ones we have, are on record saying Trump won the election? How many of them are there? Very few. Very few Republican politicians in office believe that Trump won the election or back up his statement. It's not liberals. Those are Republicans. They're not following what he's saying. What he said on January 6th, they're on TV saying that wasn't true. Just want to tell you that. And not just the ones that are in the states where he lost. Even the states where he won, they're not backing that up. I don't hear Texas Governor Greg Abbott saying Trump won. Ron DeSantis came on TV and said he lost. So it's not just the liberals, folks. Ron DeSantis, the brightest star in the Republican Party until just a few months ago, he even said Trump lost the election. It's not just liberals. You guys have the agenda to put them in the liberal category to make it make sense, but it's clearly a bipartisan effort that's going against Trump. Going back to the box, We'll keep it moving. Razor Buzz. Good afternoon, Razor. 4 indictments already. Are they going too far trying to get this man?
Hello, how are you doing, my friend?
Doing good, doing good. Good to have you on. Are they going too far? 4 indictments already.
First, on the subject that we just talked about, all the Republicans that are against Trump in reality. You see, the problem is Trump is holding them by the throat. If he starts talking negative about them, what will happen? They will lose their seat and they won't be able to go back to the Senate or to the House.
So if Trump is holding them by the throats and they feel like their careers are in danger, then that means Trump is not in favor of free speech.
Oh no, Trump is not in favor of anything. Trump is in favor of one thing, and that's Trump. Okay? Trump doesn't have any ideology. He doesn't believe in the Democrats. He doesn't believe in the Republicans. He doesn't believe in abortion. He's not anti-abortion. He believes one thing, and that's himself.
Let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you because your audio's a bit tingy. And folks in the comments, Zion asks, "Are you in a submarine? Are you on some type of microphone or something? Your audio's a bit squeaky."
Well, I'm in my car, and I have a headgear on.
Okay.
So I'm gonna stop right now. Not to have any more extra noise. There we go.
Okay. Yeah,
Is it a little better?
Not really, but I can kind of hear you to some degree. So what?
Hold on, let me go completely to my phone.
Yeah, you're quite tingy. Yeah, I mean it's like, yeah, motherfucking Adam in the comments. Yeah, he asked, was he in the submarine? I thought that was kind of funny. How do people get into a live while driving? What? Go ahead. Can you hear me, Razor?
Now.
Yeah, that's better.
Okay, there we go. So Trump doesn't believe in anything. I have known about Trump since the 80s. I'm 63, 64 years old. And I remember when he used to hang around with all the mafiosos and whatnot, building buildings in New York.
Okay.
Trump doesn't believe in anything, as far as I believe.
So how do you respond to folks who suggest that President Trump was the best president we've had in our lifetime?
Okay, that goes to the agendas that people have. See, he has found a niche in American politics, in American society, from the people who want certain things. Okay?
Give me some examples. Give me some examples of those certain things.
Okay. They want, for example, they are anti-abortion. For example, they are against immigrants. And things like that. You think
the Republican Party is against immigrants? What about, because they often say we don't mind immigrants, we just want you to come the right way and follow the law. Do you think they're against all immigrants?
That's all talk. That's all talk. We want them to come in legally. If they could come in legally, why would they, tread through the desert and wear out a pair of shoes just to get here? No, that's just all talk.
So
the thing is, it's kind of upsetting because they say they're taking all our jobs. How many of these people are hoping that in the future their kids are going to become fruit pickers?
Yeah, good point.
Huh?
Good point. But let me give it to you from the mindset of someone who supports Trump, and I want you to give me how you would counter this. Angel Fan Gaming in the comments says, when in favor of Trump, talking about jobs, low taxes, less dead babies, law and order. These are things that she believes that were delivered by President Trump. How do you respond to that?
Oh, I respond to that. The items that you called law and order and more jobs, and what was the other one?
Less dead babies.
Oh, less dead babies. Well, that's always been the... You ever listen to George Carlin?
Yeah, the late comedian, yeah.
Yes. He used to say Republicans don't want to they are for the unborn. Once you're unborn, they don't want anything to do with you until you get the military age.
Wow.
Okay? So this dead babies is a joke. Why is it a joke? I tell you. Because in the causes that are in the right, more people, grown-up people have died. Now we are all worried about the being that doesn't even have a full consciousness, doesn't have the idea of self. I believe a human being becomes a human being when they get an idea of self.
Yeah, but you do realize, without abortion, those are going to become human beings like you're talking about.
Yes, and they become good soldiers, and then they become 18. You talked about.
I mean, you make a point. You make a point. They do become. They can become soldiers.
Yes, they would. And not only that, they become good source of labor. You talked about low taxes, which is a joke again, because all Republican low taxes have gone to the rich.
Well, Trump gave us all a tax cut. Ours just happened to expire. But he did give everybody a tax cut, didn't he?
No. I talked to a tax lawyer. In fact, see, I'm an Uber driver. Okay? So I get to talk to a lot of people, and I love to run my mouth. So I talked to several tax lawyers. And they were... at the time when that came out, and I asked them, I said, well, you guys, they said we're studying it day and night. We have to, talk to our
What? But what? You said you're an Uber driver. What state are you? What state do you drive in?
I am in Washington D.C. area.
Okay. Well, you got to think if you're in D.C., a lot of the lawyers you're going to get are probably going to be on the left side of the aisle. I want to ask you something though, because I obviously do Uber videos. As an Uber driver, who did you earn more under, President Trump or President Biden?
Well, it was in when they. This is interesting. This is very interesting.
Go ahead. I'm gonna let you talk.
Uber company cut our pay right when the inflation came in. Okay, right when the inflation came in. During most of the time during the previous administration, we didn't work. We were in the lockdown and whatnot.
Okay. Well, let me just interrupt. Obviously, I make videos on this all the time. There's no. I mean, for folks who are not familiar with ride sharing, the salaries earned for rideshare drivers has consistently dropped year after year. There's no denying. You made a lot more money under Trump. It may not have anything to do with Trump because Uber is so damn greedy, but it's not even up for discussion on who you pay. You're making less under President Biden as a rideshare driver than in any year in the history of ride sharing, other than maybe when nobody could come outside. I mean, it is that bad. So, I was laughing because I know you're not a Trump fan, but I threw that question out there to see how you handle it, and I saw you were stumbling, and I'm like, we know the answer to that.
The thing is, I am not into comparing Trump with Biden. Their presidencies were under completely different circumstances, okay? I'm not going to get into that. Biden is a good president. I know that because under him, the inflation came down, unemployment came down. But then again, I cannot make that judgment with Trump because he had the horrible thing of the pandemic that came in the middle of it.
How was Trump, in your opinion, how was Trump performing as president before the pandemic?
Oh, did you read John Bolton's book? Did you read Woodward's book?
John Woodward. No, I haven't read it. I know both of the guys, well, obviously Ambassador Bolton and John Woodward of ABC. No, I didn't read it. But give me your take.
Please do. Because Trump's, and these are people who were for him in the beginning, especially Bolton. Bolton like was begging to work for him.
Ambassador Bolton,
And
yeah.
then when he arrives in that White House, he describes it as an absolute chaos.
But that's not answered. I'm asking you, how do you see Trump's performance before the pandemic?
He didn't do any performance. That's the problem. He didn't do any performance. According to people who are very close to him, whoever came in earlier in the day and got the first word in was the one whose agenda was met. There was no performance in his part.
So you're essentially suggesting that Trump was incompetent.
I'm not suggesting, I am screaming it.
So I gotta move it on. But
Incompetent all his life. Trump has been incompetent seven or six, I think seven, bankruptcy.
Yeah.
Multiple times, multi-million dollars from his father to save his businesses. If you define these as competent, well, I guess I am a professor at the Harvard.
All right. So I have to move it on, but I'm gonna ask you the question I've asked other guests in the past. So if Trump gets reelected as the 47th president, what do you think life in America will be like?
It won't change much. Some more of the rights agendas will be met. But what scares me literally shitless is the fact that he would have access. This, I believe, unstable person will have access to the nuclear codes.
Wow.
That's what scares me. He will have access to the unbelievably lethal United States military.
All right.
And he would have access to our foreign policy.
Well, he had access. But wait, he had access to all that before, and America didn't fall apart.
No, it didn't. But you remember how they, the generals had made plans that if he tries to use the nukes, how to counter it?
Yeah.
Do you remember him? Yeah. Do you remember him giving legitimacy to Kim Jong-un by meeting him? Do you remember how he took Putin's word over our own people? Oh, no, he has proven all those things. There is nothing hidden.
It's a really good answer. All right, Razor, I got to move it on. Hey, come on through anytime, man. I appreciate you coming through.
Oh, absolutely. I love your program, Doug. You don't take it. Oh, there's one more thing I want to say.
Sure.
It's important. Has nothing to do with Trump. You see, the face of racism in America has changed. Okay?
Elaborate.
The racists don't call a black man with the N-word anymore. They look him in the eye, smile in his face, and stab him in the back. That's why a lot of these people can claim not to be racist. Because in the surface, they're smiling, they're saying good things. But if you dare as a black man go with equal credentials to get a job in a company that's run by some of these people,
Wow.
that guy will be chosen.
Well, I can't, wait a minute.
I lived in Detroit 18 years, and I had multitudes of friends who cried. They were competent, highly intelligent people who were being discriminated against with a smile on them.
I cannot let you go without asking what, because I don't see a picture. Are you black, white, what?
No, because I'm in my car and I was working. And,
I'm just asking you. I'm just asking you.
No, I'm a normal person.
What color are you?
White.
You're white.
I am originally from Iran.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, Razor, appreciate you coming on. You're always welcome back.
I love your no-nonsense, no bullshit kind of talk, so I'll be listening to you, brother.
It's a pleasure.
If I have something to say, I will come in.
Absolutely a pleasure. All right, looking in the comments, and someone says he is 100% on point. That's the truth. 6528 Hollywood. Thank you for that, Hollywood. I like that gun there. Sarah Coolio says Iran is so far away. Yeah, but he's in America. he's in the state of Michigan. In fact, Michigan does have a large Middle Eastern population in that state. I believe that's the state with the largest Middle Eastern population in this country. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's the case. Looking in the comments, no, he isn't. You just picked that comment. I didn't give Donald all of your money, says corduroy enthusiast. Oh shit. Trump 2024, Andrea Villarreal. Okay, all right. There's a lot of folks with Hispanic sounding names that are singing the praises of President Trump. I see that in the comments all the time. EMC was talking to someone else, but he asked, what have conservatives done for blacks since Lincoln? Well, you know, the conservative, or I won't say conservatives, that is a difference between conservatives and Republicans, because during the time the Democratic Party was known as the party of slavery, the party of KKK, the party of the Jim Crow South, they were conservatives. Democrats were considered conservatives back then. Just think about it. Giving African Americans equal rights, which is what the Republican Party did, that's a progressive ideal. It was not popular in this country to do that. Generally, keeping America in its traditional form, the way the founding fathers intended, that's a conservative traditionalist mindset. Doing new shit, taking the country in directions that the founding fathers never intended, that is the progressive ideology, whether it's giving women the right to vote or whatever. Republicans used to be progressives, and Democrats used to be conservatives. You don't hear that come up in historical debates very often. You'll hear somebody tell you all damn day long that the Democrats were the party of the KKK, they were the party of slavery, party of the Confederate South. They don't tell you they were also considered the conservative party as well. That part doesn't come up, but that is the case. They were traditional conservatives. They just happen to be known as Democrats. And the Republican Party were the liberal party. In fact, I did a video on YouTube once where Martin Luther King was being asked by CBS News, did he have any type of fear that the Republican Party was going by way of white people? And he said, his actual words is that if the liberals in the party do not step up, I believe this is going to be the white man's party. You can easily find that clip. And it's not just audio, you can see him actually saying it. Just type in Martin Luther King, white man's party. And you'll see him, just Google that, Martin Luther King, white man's party. You'll see him at that particular news interview saying that he feared that the Republican Party, if the liberals in the party do not stand up and do something, he feared the Republican Party may turn into the white man's party. Martin Luther King said that. Look in the comments. That's exactly right. They were the states' rights party, says Petty Pendergrass. Yeah, the Democrats used to be conservatives. You just don't hear nobody talk about that. When they were promoting slavery, promoting Jim Crow, yeah, they were conservatives. Democrats were, are, and ever will be the racist, corrupt, Constitution-hating party. D-Gal, if the Democratic Party is the racist, Constitution-hating party, why are you folks suggesting that Biden only gave Kamala Harris the job because she's black, or only gave Ketanji Brown the job because she's black? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. It's either or. Barack Obama only became president because he's black? If this party truly is the racist, African-American hating party, why the hell are they giving all of these people literally the highest positions in the country just for being black? How many racists do that? How many racists will just give you the keys to their car just because you're black? How many racists do shit like that? When did that start happening? What part of racism is that? I've never heard of that. The KKK is going to be friends with you just because you're black. I've never heard of that. Is racism changing right before my very eyes? Looking in the comments. The Democrats have Africa, especially Joe Biden. The Democrats hate Africa, especially Joe Biden, and I can prove it. Loves America, loves the name. You're saying the Democrats hate Africa, especially Joe Biden. Are you suggesting that the Republicans love Africa? I mean, if you want to, in my humble opinion, America doesn't give a damn about Africa, no matter what party is in power. Africa's been suffering, and the only reason it's even getting a mention now is because a lot of African nations are starting to side with the Russians and Chinese because they are actually trying to give them infrastructure. You don't, the liberals hate Africa doesn't resonate because you're not showing a lot of love from the right either. I don't think either side of the aisle gives a damn about Africa. Looking in the comments, actually the continent of Africa is more conservative than it is liberal. That's a fact. I agree with that. I believe a hell of a lot of African Americans resonate a lot with the Republican Party. But when I get guests on here and I point out a lot of the, whether it's religion, whether it's African Americans having members of their family in the military, there's a lot of things about the right side of the aisle that resonates with blacks. But anytime I ask a black person, well, based on this, why don't you see more likability from the Republican Party? They say, well, we would, but there's a hell of a lot of racism sprinkled in with that party. Just going to, and I've had that answer given to me probably a dozen different times because I ask a lot of African Americans that, and that's probably the most prominent answer I get from African Americans why they don't favor the Republican Party is that the Republican Party does not have an issue with racism in their party. I'm not going to say it's right or wrong. You can take it any way you want, but a lot of African Americans say that. And I see in the comments, Errol Barnes says they are all wrong. All right, it's up to you. Racism is an opinion. Everybody has a different opinion of how they view racism. How am I going to look telling you you don't know who the hell's mistreating you? Just like you got a hell of a lot of white people telling blacks, you don't know who's racist. This guy is racist, not the guy you think. And that has happened throughout history. You go to any era in American history, from the very beginning up to and including right now in 2023. There has always been African Americans claiming that something was racist, and there has always been whites telling them, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. And that goes all the way back to slavery. They would tell Martin Luther King, I don't know why the hell you're coming to these towns and upsetting the colored folks. They were fine before you came here. Even during slavery, getting free housing and clothing, what the hell's the problem? So I'm not here to tell you what the definition of racism is, but I'm telling you, everybody has their own definition. And there's always folks that are telling African Americans, what you're talking about is completely made up. It's always been that way. It has literally always been that way. Looking at the comments, and user 286 says, dude, you are so damn lost. Fair enough. They were lost back then too. Martin Luther King was referred to as a racist, just like Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, and now Ben Crump is. Any African American throughout history that complained about racism was called a racist. If you mention racism, you're going to be called a racist. It's not something I'm telling you, it's actual what was happening. Looking in the comments, all racist comments that Biden said, everyone thought Trump said it. Why is that? Well, the media plays a part in it as well. The media does not like Trump because Trump, listen, I'm not here to paint Trump as a demon. I'm here to suggest that when you do what Trump did, and I mean anybody could do what Trump did, and would face a hell of a lot of problems. I mean, I've watched Trump rallies personally on CNN when he ran the first time, where Trump would be on camera criticizing CNN, saying that, well, CNN is not going to show you this. Look at all those camera lights turning off. And I'm sitting there watching it on CNN. Just lying on the network. Just literally telling a lie while I'm watching the network. Saying that this network is too liberal to cover what he is currently saying. And I'm sitting there watching it on CNN. No apologies, nothing. A lot of media doesn't like Trump. Just plain and simple. A lot of media doesn't like Trump. And Zion says the video quality is top notch. I don't know what happened, but I do appreciate that. Going back to the box, Trump is for all Americans. Well, you have to ask Americans why they think the opposite. Truth is irony. Good afternoon. Truth is irony. 4 indictments. Are they going too far?
What's up?
Not much at all. Good to have you on here. Are they going too far on Trump? 4 indictments in 4 months.
No, I think that they're right on point. Fannie Willis is now my new hero.
But by the way, folks, tap the screen. We got almost 1,000 of you folks in here, well over 900. Get your boy up to 80,000 likes. We might be able to make that happen if your thumbs are not lazy. Tap the screen, show your boy some love. So she's your new hero, based on what? Her hatred of Trump?
No. I'm going to point out something to you that I don't know if you've, I haven't been on here that long, so I don't know if you pointed it out or anybody else has.
Okay.
The reason why Trump is dealing with so much pushback on the illegal things that he's done, because there's been presidents, Bill Clinton was shady as well, but Bill Clinton wasn't an a-hole. And like Trump, Bill Clinton didn't go out of his way to make enemies. Bill Clinton didn't give people nicknames like a 5-year-old. So what Trump is reaping now is what he's sown. And here's something I don't know if you noticed. The young lady, the 3 African American news reporters, Abby Phillips, April Ryan, and I don't know how to pronounce her first name, but Alcindor. Donald Trump humiliated them in press conferences, each in front of the nation, called Abby Phillips stupid. He said that April Ryan was mean, and that she asked a racist question. And I forget exactly what his put down was of Al.
Yeah, I will say, now I'm not totally familiar with what you're talking about there, but I will say I totally agree with you that one of the reasons Trump faces so much attacks is because he does launch attacks against very high-level officials, such as when he first took office, suggesting that a judge could not adjudicate his case because the judge happened to be Mexican, which is clearly an insult to any Mexican serving on the court. Just simply being a Mexican makes you disqualified from ruling. Yeah, so I do agree with that.
Definition of racism.
That's
the other thing that he did that proves his racism. There's so many things, but this one is really, really obvious. The 4 ladies that called themselves the Squad, the Presley.
Go back to where you came from.
Yeah. And those people, they were, 2 of them were born here in America. All of them were naturalized citizens and duly elected officials.
Yeah.
So that is as racist as it comes.
Well, and I do believe that the constant effort to achieve plausible deniability, because a lot of things that are racist, the person has plausible deniability as a way to say it wasn't racist. Like good people on both sides is not racist because plausible deniability. I think that has to be used too often with President Trump. If people are constantly having to clean up your statements, that should be viewed as a problem.
Right, and I can't imagine that the Trump supporters are not tired of rebranding his statements as not racist when they clearly are.
Yeah.
So I think that it's very, very, I don't want to say, I guess it's not ironic, but it's very karma-ish, I'll say, that now 3 of the people who are going to decide his fate
are black.
Black women.
Well, wait, who are the 3? Who are the 3? We got the one in Georgia from yesterday.
Judge Chutkan, Fannie Willis, and Letitia James.
Yeah, but one of the women is a civil case, though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's still gonna have to pay.
Yeah.
He's already.
Yeah.
And listen, somebody like in his predicament who claims to be a billionaire, $250 million is not just a drop in the bucket for anybody.
Yeah.
So, and that's what he's currently under.
I don't know though. I don't know in regards to Trump, because MAGA is so loyal to Trump. I think he could raise $250 million. I mean, folks are willing to give him their last dime. So I don't know in regards to Trump.
No, you're right. But that's his whole plan, is to raise money. So if he's gonna raise that $250 million regardless, but now he has to spend it on something he doesn't want to spend it on.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I give you $25 and say go do what you want, is one thing. If I give you $25 and say, all right, you got to pay this parking ticket, that's a whole different.
Yeah.
A whole different bag of rocks.
Yeah, but he got a lot of MAGA that'll say, don't worry about it, I'll pay your parking ticket, sir. I mean, I get what you're saying, but I mean, the man got endless amount of loyalty out there.
I don't know if it's endless, because they're gonna eventually drop him like a hot potato, because he is his own worst enemy. In fact, I would not be surprised. I really would not be surprised if he is somehow sanctioned because of his mouth in one of these cases.
So in regards to, let me ask you this. In regards to what you just said, Trump being sanctioned or punished, in the comments, Stephen Miller says, you people that wants to call Trump a racist is just jealous that he will be whipping the Democrats. How do you feel about folks who suggest it's just simply a witch hunt just to go after Trump when Trump is actually a good guy doing what's best for America and the liberals just won't give him a chance?
Well, I'll say this, the narrative has changed. Originally, that was the narrative that, when it comes to specifically talking about the documents case, those documents were planted. It's a witch hunt. He had nothing to do with that. Defund the FBI or whatever, because Trump didn't have that. Then we find out, it comes out of his own mouth, yeah, they were mine, I had them, and then we find out that he hid them. So now the narrative changed from, it's a witch hunt, he never had that stuff, to
I had a right to have it.
Biden had it.
Yeah.
Biden had it. Pence had it. Why are you punishing him? So the narrative is going to continue to change, man, to try to get him off the hook. It's not really, the goalpost is just going to keep moving.
That's not going to, that'll work in a court of public opinion, but that will not work in actual court. Truth though, I do got to move it on. Go ahead.
God bless.
Absolutely.
I'm good. I just wanted to put that out there.
Always a pleasure. Come on back anytime. And I will say that many political legalese were saying that back when Trump was finishing up his term and was saying that the election was stolen and things like that. And they were even pointing out back then that what Trump was saying at his rallies on how the liberals stole the election, he was not telling that to judges in court. Because you can say any damn thing out in public, but when you're in court and you don't swore under oath, you know, put your hand on the Bible or put your right hand in the air, you can't just say wild shit like that. You can actually get in trouble. And that's what's happening even now, is that he's saying things like January 6th, for instance. The whole defense is starting to curve over to, well, no, I didn't win. I had free speech, First Amendment rights to say I won even if I didn't. So they're not in court arguing what he said was true. They're in court arguing that he had a First Amendment right to lie if he wanted to. So what they're presenting in court is different than what they're telling you and I. Because in court, folks are going to ask to show proof, whereas out in public, folks hate the Republicans or hate the liberals so damn much that they have a preconceived notion to believe whatever side is favorable to them. In court, you got to show proof of that shit. You can't just say some kind of space laser took the vote and people believe it. You got to actually show proof. So in court, he's making a different kind of an argument. Dude, shout out to Bill and Ted, asked the question, you have to ask yourself why the left doesn't want any of this televised, yet they televise the January 6th hearings. I don't hear a whole lot of people on the right pushing to have this televised. I mean, I'm a fan of having it televised. I get that folks believe they want to have this shit in secret so that, you know, the government that they don't trust can do whatever the hell they want. I believe it should be televised. I'm a fan of that. But I do also believe if you support Trump, you're not going to believe any of the shit coming out of it anyway. I mean, you got Mike Pence, Attorney General Barr, stating they're willing to testify under oath. Even if they show it to you on TV, you're just going to say Mike Pence is telling a lie. I mean, you're going to say all of the witnesses testifying against Trump are lying because they got something to gain. So even if you see it on TV and you don't believe the evidence presented because you don't trust anybody presenting it, What good does it do? I mean, really, what if Mike Pence has made it clear that he believes Trump was trying to get him to prevent folks from voting and roll back the Constitution? Even if you watch the hearing on television and you see Mike Pence saying that, you believe Mike Pence is a lie and he's not credible. So what difference does it make? So I don't get how watching it live is really going to make a difference if you don't believe any of the folks that are testifying against President Trump. Looking in the comments, the right doesn't want it televised. They're going to say it's a witch hunt, or they're going to say fake news. Style 72. Well, as I just stated, and keep tapping the screen, folks. We might be to get 100,000. You guys are showing your boy a lot of love. I do appreciate that. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of folks on the right that have never had anything to do with the liberals, haven't had a damn thing to do with the Democratic Party at all, that's testifying against Trump. And all of their credibility is shot compared to, in the eyes of MAGA too, like the Asa Hutchinsons and all of those folks, all of the folks that was in Trump's inner circle. It's not going to be long before both Rudolph Giuliani and Sidney Powell are saying things negative of Trump. Rudolph Giuliani, by the time this is over with, is going to be a traitor to MAGA. I guarantee it. Too many different folks are coming after him. Trump is trying to save Trump. MAGA is trying to save Trump. Nobody gives a shit about Rudolph Giuliani. And he's probably smart enough as a long-time, lifelong lawyer to realize that. Eventually, Rudolph Giuliani is going to run afoul of Trump and MAGA, and he's going to fall into the rhino, traitor, treasonous category. It's going to happen. Looking in the comments, what happened to Republicans? Joey asked what happened to Republicans. They're still there. They still believe in the same traditional, the traditional, I don't beliefs or principles they have, just like Democrats do. I will say this, and I've said it before on a number of other lives. Bernie Sanders and President Trump have a lot of similarities. Bernie Sanders is socialist. Trump really represents the MAGA party. Neither one of these individuals. Bernie Sanders running as a Democrat. What the fuck? Holloway! Wow! Wow! Shout out. Let's go. Thank you, Holloway. Bernie Sanders running as a Democrat. Trump running as a Republican. Neither one of these folks, yeah, thank you for the hat and mustache. Neither one of these politicians represent what traditional Democrats or Republicans stand for. Both of these individuals had goals of completely reforming and changing the prospects of their party. That is why both Bernie Sanders and President Trump run into a hell of a lot of pushback from traditional members of their party. The Democrats did not let Bernie Sanders take hold. If Bernie Sanders had taken hold of the Democratic Party, it would have went much further to the left, promoting the likes of AOC, not Maxine Waters, Elizabeth Warren, those types would have been promoted. It would have went further and further to the left. Trump did exactly that on the right. He was successfully victorious, and he won the nomination on the right. And he has pushed that party further to the right. And that's why both of these folks are getting a pushback from traditional members of their party. So when you say what happened to the Republican Party, Trump has trashed it, just like Bernie Sanders would have trashed the Democratic Party. Because Bernie Sanders wanted a very progressive America, and he would not have been willing to work with Republicans that support big business, support states' rights. He wouldn't have been willing to work with them at all, which is what Trump is doing on the other side. I don't know how the Republican Party will fare after Trump. Trump has really made it so that all Republicans, most traditional Republicans, are now hated by MAGA. I mean, how many Republicans that are serving right now is viewed as have a positive viewing from MAGA? Even the long-term ones like Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, they hate them all. They literally hate them all. There's really none of them that folks on the right, particularly that identify as Trump supporters, like. He has literally made the whole party the enemy. It's a mess. And Bernie Sanders would have done that, where all of the party is now to some degree, held hostage, at least their careers are, to the wants of Bernie Sanders. That's how it would have been. That's how it is on the right. You can't even say anything about Trump. Joe, tell him something, Joe. Thank you for that railroad. So when you ask what happened to the Republican Party, it's the MAGA party now. It really is the MAGA party. Democrats would have been the Socialist Party. I don't know how to, if Trump wins, then so be it. They'll be all right. But if he loses, it becomes a mission of pick up the pieces, because MAGA is going to be there whether Trump wins or lose. And they're going to continue hating the remains of the Republican Party. Many of them will blame the remains for why Trump is not president again. They'll be going back and forth through that for a long time. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end. Looking in the comments, Dr. Hansel says Uncle T. Gonna assume T stands for Tom. Shout out to you. Appreciate the input. Trump Vivek 2024. Or Vivek Ramasham. I don't know. I think that either Trump wins or Trump doesn't. All of the politicians associating themselves with Trump. If he wins, you're great. If he loses, you're going to go down with him. And you're talking about Vivek actually going on as a VP. I don't know. It always was a MAGA party. Wow. Mark Mahone said it always was the MAGA party. Archie Bunker Republicans. Are you suggesting that the Republican Party is racist? Or better yet, the MAGA side of the aisle? Are you saying they're racist? Is that what I'm hearing? Wow. Vote Blue says Rosemar. Christie is pummeling Trump. That is not true. You say, well, Christie is doing to Trump what Trump did to the likes of Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush. He's name calling. He's attacking them. It worked incredibly well for Trump. I don't know if it'll work as well for Christie, but he certainly is throwing bombs at President Trump. But remember, the loyalty to President Trump is so strong that anything you say about him is really just considered to be a lie. I mean, there's not really much Christie is going to say about President Trump that MAGA is going to say, yeah, I guess you're right about that. It's going to either be, I don't give a shit about what you just said, or you're lying. I mean, so I don't know where Christie is going to go with that. I mean, we've had a lot of discussions on the channel, and I think the overall viewpoint from MAGA is, whatever you say about Trump, you either have something to gain by making up that lie, or it's something that's so minute we don't really give a shit about it. So I don't know how you get any type of gain on that type of mindset. I don't know. Going back to the box, somebody says Trump for prison. I don't know. Loves America. Love the name. Good afternoon. Loves America. Howdy.
How you doing?
4 indictments.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. 4 indictments. Are they going too far?
Okay, let me explain to you about the Florida grand jury first.
Sure.
Okay?
Sure.
Florida state law says that if you're going to be on the grand jury, you must be a Florida resident and you cannot have political bias. So going and getting people from D.C. made the entire grand jury process illegal.
What do you mean? Wait. What do you mean by cannot have political bias? Who the hell doesn't have that?
State law says you may not have political bias.
Who doesn't have political bias?
I'm telling you what the law says. I'm not trying to interpret it. I'm just telling you that's what the law says.
Okay, I don't think that any judge is going to. I don't think you're going to get the courts to throw somebody out for political. I mean, if I check your back.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Why do you think they went to D.C. to get those people? Because they were politically biased.
I haven't heard
Why
that.
they went to them in the first place.
Well, first of all, I have not heard that they went to D.C. to get people. So that part I have not heard.
That's where all of them are from.
Okay.
None of them were Florida residents. The whole thing's illegal.
So the crime was supposedly committed in Florida, but what reason did they even give for why they went to D.C., according to you, if this is even true?
They didn't give a reason. They just did it.
I watch I watch the Sunday shows, I watch Fox. I'm not hearing what you're talking about. I haven't heard of anybody complaining that they went to D.C. to get the grand jury.
Okay, let me back up just a little bit. Do you have a computer there you can use or not?
Not right now. No, I don't.
Okay. First of all, a lot of the stuff that you get, a lot of the information you get is not true. And the way you know that is you go and Google the question. Google this question. Why does Google spread fake news? And Google will tell you Google spreads fake news because they make millions of dollars doing it. They will admit to you that they spread fake news.
So if I Google who won the 2020 election, what am I going to get?
Well, I don't know. I never tried that.
Who do you think won it?
Well, it depends on how you look at it. I think it was stolen. There's no question about that.
Stolen from who?
Okay, tell you what. Use a search engine and look up.
Wait. We're having I've already admitted I don't have a computer. Let's you and I have a conversation without the search engines. I'm trying to find out your opinion, not Google or Yahoo or Bing. I want to hear your opinion. Who won? Who was it stolen from?
Donald Trump.
Okay. What are you basing that on? Google?
I'm basing it on 288,000 suspicious ballots. Now that's your search term, okay?
Right.
This is a United States Post Office employee who swore in court under oath that he was ordered to take a truck with 288,000 mail-in ballots from New Jersey to Pennsylvania. Now, taking them across state lines is illegal. They did not have accompanying envelopes, which makes them illegal. They were mail-in ballots that had never been folded, which makes them illegal. And there were 4 other truck drivers who made the same statements. And then the investigative report came out by the Postmaster General, and Joe Biden would not allow it to be released. It's never been released. The investigative report of those things have never been released. And then
How do you respond to folks in the comments that suggest that this individual later recanted that story?
That he swore under oath, man.
People lie under oath all the time. Shout out to Bill Clinton.
And there's 5 of them with the same story, so I don't care what. They probably got their information from Google.
So if Mike Pence swears under oath, you're going to believe what he says, right?
Well, it's a little different because I know Mike Pence.
How do you know? You went to school with him? You grew up in the hood with Mike Pence?
I grew up in Indianapolis with Mike Pence, yes.
Okay. What about Attorney General Barr? If he swears under oath, you going to believe him?
Yes.
Okay. Now, he already stated that he's going to testify under oath that he made sure Trump knew he lost the election. Attorney General Barr actually traced down a lot of the different claims like Dominion voting machines and stuff you're talking about now, and actually said he will testify under oath that he told Trump that those claims are unsubstantiated. If he testifies under oath, you're going to believe what he's saying, right?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I will believe that he believes it.
No, that's nice try. That's not what we're asking.
What do you do when 2 people swear under oath to different things, and you believe both of them? I mean, that's the situation I'm in.
Okay.
See?
Well,
I want, but I don't know.
Okay, all right, fair enough. But I mean, I just wanted to find out, because you mentioned people testifying under oath. I wanted to see where your mindset is, because there's going to be a hell of a lot of Republicans doing that against President Trump soon.
Okay, is it legal for an individual to put $400 million of his own money into an election? Yes or no?
That doesn't sound legal to me.
Well, that's exactly what Mark Zuckerberg did.
But here's the issue I have, and I'm not even going to dispel the stuff you're saying. The problem I have is this. We point to election fraud or the integrity of the election not being held properly, and then we just automatically assume all the cheating was Democratic. 100% of the cheaters in the 2020 election did it in favor of Democrats. There's no proof of that. Even what you're talking about with the post office guy, and he's testifying to this and this, he don't know what's on the ballots, though. He knows that something doesn't look right, or you're talking about Biden didn't want it to come to light. But there's no proof that was done in favor of the Democrats. That is something that you're assuming. That's not proven.
Well, it really doesn't make any difference. It's fraud one way or the other.
It makes
And the Democrats are saying there wasn't any fraud. So.
But Trump is saying he won by a landslide and the election was stolen. Proving that fraud took place does not prove you won. He hasn't proved that he actually won. That's the problem.
But the Democrats are always saying nothing happened, but don't investigate. Don't look over, nothing to see here. That's what the Democrats do.
Yeah, but you got places like Wisconsin. The Wisconsin State Supreme Court ruled that there was no widespread fraud in their state. Are you going to say the Supreme Court was wrong too?
I'm going to say that the Wisconsin state official state website doesn't say that. It says that Donald Trump clearly won.
Well, I'm telling you, the Supreme Court ruled in that state that there was no widespread cases of fraud. I mean, where else are you going to go after that? I mean, believe it or not.
Or again, you gotta ask, what's your definition of widespread?
I'm just saying it like this. Whatever your definition is, or my definition, or anybody else's definition, once the courts rule and you've taken it to the highest level, you can continue screaming it till you're blue in the face. The case is over with. And Trump took his claims to the highest level. In some cases, the Supreme Court didn't even listen to him because they didn't think it was enough there. There's no more avenue to exhaust. I mean, he's taking it as far as it'll go.
Okay, Mark Zuckerberg on Joe Rogan's podcast admitted live on the air that the FBI came to him and told him not to allow people to spread information about the laptop from hell, about Ashley Biden's diary where she said that Joe molested her and all this kind of stuff. And Mark Zuckerberg said, we went along with it, just like a good little communist puppet would.
When did that happen? What year?
The effort was to sway the election.
What year did that happen?
What did which happen?
The Fear Factor guy. What the hell is his name again? You just mentioned Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan.
What year did he have this conversation with him? Who was president at that time?
2022. That was last year.
Oh, it just happened. Okay. Well,
2020.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, if the goal is to upset the entire federal government and suggest that they're all in the tank for Biden as well, I don't know how you can accomplish that. I just don't. I mean, we're going to say that one man is innocent and basically the whole world is corrupt trying to go after him. I don't know how you successfully accomplish that. I just don't.
Well, the problem is that the Democrats are saying, okay, Facebook is a private company. They can do anything they want, but they're not a private company when they're taking government money. The same thing with Twitter.
But it ain't just, but here's the problem. But here's the problem. Just like suggesting that Trump won by a landslide versus simply saying election fraud, when you folks criticize what's happening to Trump, you make it sound like it's just Democrats. There's a lot of Republicans that are on the side of the Democrats saying that Trump's allegations in all of these areas are either unfounded or untrue. It's not just the liberals going after this guy. A lot of credible Republicans are saying this man is lying and making this stuff up.
The difference is if it was a Republican, they'd be in prison. That's the difference.
If it was a Republican doing what, they would be in prison.
If a Republican had done anything close to this kind of massive fraud, they'd be in prison.
You talking about that Zuckerberg did?
I'm talking about any of it.
Well, I think
Republicans can't get away with this stuff. Democrats do it all the time.
You don't think Trump is getting away with anything? The guy, here, let me tell you about Trump. Currently has 119 indictments against him, yet he has not a single mugshot, never been placed in handcuffs, and has a good chance of getting his old job back. You think you or I would get those same privileges?
No.
Right.
But let me ask you this. Do you think if Donald Trump wasn't running against Joe Biden in this upcoming election, that he would have ever been indicted for anything?
Yeah.
Because I don't believe it.
Yeah, I do. Let me tell you what. Yeah.
Why wait 3 years to indict him then? Why wait till right before the election?
Well, I'll tell you, I absolutely believe it, and I'll tell you why. I don't think anyone, liberal or or conservative could do what Trump did, when I say do what he did, I mean attack so many elite members of society, call them nicknames, talk about their family, their wives. Nobody could do that without facing attacks from folks as backlash. Now, even if they're making 100% of this shit up, if you did what Trump did or I did what Trump did, people will be coming after us as well. You cannot do what Trump did and expect nobody to mess with you. It just doesn't work like that.
Nobody messed with Rush Limbaugh, and he basically said everything Trump said, only in stereo.
You don't think nobody messed with Rush Limbaugh at all? No death threats or anything?
Nobody indicted him.
Okay, well...
I get death threats. That ain't no big deal. It happens all the time.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, when you're talking about a guy that's coming into power and destroying careers, like I said, launching personal attacks, treating people like shit, and expecting to be treated fairly, it just, and I will say this also, I don't think you could do to Trump what Trump did to others and get treated fairly by him either. He would come after you.
Well, if you look at the timing of all this stuff, I mean, if you ask any cop, there's no such thing as coincidence. So as soon as bad news comes out about Biden, the very next day, Trump gets indicted for something. You know, every time. It just too much coincidence.
Well,
there's no reason for him to wait 3 years to pull some fake ass indictment. There's no reason for it. So,
how long have they been investigating? How long have they been investigating? You're talking about waiting 3 years. How long did they investigate Hunter Biden? They investigated him for years too, didn't they?
Yeah, but there's a reason for that. They had to wait for the real serious stuff. They had to wait for it to go past the statute of limitations before they bring it up. So they had to wait until the statute of limitations was up on the serious felonies. Then they brought him forward on the little stuff.
Why didn't they do this during the Trump administration?
Do what?
Go after Hunter Biden.
I have no idea.
Do you see where Trump may have dropped the ball? Because he promised to drain the swamp. A lot of the stuff that Trump is complaining about happened while he was in charge, such as criticizing the DOJ, the FBI. All of that shit was happening while he was in charge.
There's two things that I personally think Donald Trump really screwed up on, and only two things. Number one is he put his faith in the wrong people. He expected the people that he gave a job to do it and do it honestly and for the good of the country. And those people did not do that, including Mike Pence.
Do you believe he's corrected that?
I'd have got all new people that I knew. What?
Do you believe he's that era of appointing the wrong people that you're pointing out? Do you think he has corrected his tendency to put the wrong people in power?
Well, I don't really know who he's planning on putting in power, so I can't answer that.
Why don't you know that? You just seen him try to put Dr. Oz and Herschel Walker in power last year.
Well, yeah, there's nothing wrong with them.
Oh, you thought they were good candidates?
Two people out of God.
You thought Herschel? Well, it ain't just those two people. He didn't. Kerry Lake didn't do too well either. You think those people he tried to put in power in the midterms were good people?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. They didn't do well by the public, though, right?
Well, I guess not.
Okay. All right. Just wanted to run that back. What was the second reason, if you even remember?
Yeah.
My fault. My apology. I interrupted you. That's my fault.
I'm 62 years old, so I get brain farts right.
No, that wasn't you were in your stride. I interrupted you because I wanted to comment on that, but so that's my apology. Well, I got to move it on. Loves America. I love the name.
I got it.
Go.
I know what the second thing is.
Go.
Okay. The second thing is Donald Trump was asked about abortion, and he had the perfect opportunity to explain to the American public and to the world what a partial birth abortion is and why it is absolutely murder. But he didn't do that. He just kind of said, well, yeah, they ripped the mother out of the baby out of the mother, and he didn't really do what he should have done, which is explain what a partial birth abortion is and why it's murder.
Well, I will say this, even if,
Yeah.
yeah, I will say this, even if Donald Trump explained what a partial birth abortion is as being murdered, even if he done a perfect job with that, at the end of the day, the Republican Party is against welfare, food stamps, free lunch, universal health care. There's no win for telling a woman you gotta have a child, and once that child is born, we don't give a damn how you take care of it. I don't think, no matter how he describes it, you're not gonna win that with females. I just don't see it.
Well, you got to understand the difference. See, I was a first responder for 20 years. I delivered 66 babies myself, so I know a little bit about it. And
What do you know about the
first
what do
trimester
you know about the entitlements
If
and the
you-
free lunch I just mentioned?
Well, I'm getting to that.
Okay.
A third trimester baby, if you take the baby out of the mother, whatever issue the mother had is now gone. Okay? Whatever issue, whatever physical, mental issue she had about the baby is now out of the mother. It's over, right?
Okay. I don't agree, but I'm saying okay.
She's no longer pregnant.
Okay. I don't know, but I'll just say okay so you can continue your point. But go ahead.
Okay, so you take the baby out of the mother. It's a third trimester baby. The baby can live outside the mother, right?
All right.
Premature babies survive all the time. Okay? So what's the point in killing that baby now?
Well,
Why kill it?
I get your point, but you're
That's why
talking.
abortion is murder.
But when you
And
start,
partial birth,
you there?
partial birth abortion, you take the baby, literally you deliver the baby. You deliver the baby in a partial birth abortion and then put the baby partway back in and stab scissors into its brain. That's why it's murder.
What
Yes,
percentage?
that's what they do.
What percentage of abortions are performed like that late in pregnancy?
About 7%.
So why is it a big issue?
And 90% are done for the convenience. Because if you kill one, it's murder.
Then,
I mean, what's the difference if you go in an old folks' home, you kill one person or kill them all?
well, I don't know if your 7% number is. I don't know if your 7% number is accurate, but let's say it is. I don't think most Americans would have a problem with banning abortion at that late of a term the way you said. It's telling folks that they can't have an abortion the moment you detect a heartbeat that is causing problems. If you stopped it at 7 months, or stopped it where you got to take the baby out and push it back in, all of this gross stuff you're saying, I don't think America would have a problem with that. But you got to admit, the right has went way beyond 7 months in partial birth abortions, right?
And the left has gone just as far the other way. For instance, in New York, you can kill a baby 5 minutes before it's born. Literally. On the day it's due.
Doing wrong and pointing to other wrong as a defense is not going to solve the problem, though. Even if you're correct, I don't see the left doing what you're saying, but let's say you're right. Pointing to the left is not going to take away the fact that you are admitting the right has went way beyond partial birth abortions. They've essentially banned abortion outright in many states. Even the moment the woman finds out she's conceived, they're banning it. So we're way beyond partial birth abortions.
Well, if you're the kind of person who would kill your own child, then just move to a different state where they let you do that. That's the beauty of America.
And you're also
I don't see anything wrong with that.
and you also are suggesting that the liberals should
I
ignore.
don't see anything wrong with that.
I get your point, but you're also suggesting that the liberals should ignore the likes of Mike Pence, Mitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, and Trump stating that a federal abortion ban could actually happen. Should the liberals ignore that?
I think everybody should ignore Mike Pence, but yeah.
Okay. I got to move it on, Loves America. Appreciate you coming in, man.
Okay.
All right. Good
God
talk.
bless you.
Absolutely. You know what we do around this time, folks? 112 likes. Damn, I understand there's a color hue to my face. I'm actually colored now. I look like I'm orange. Maybe I'm supporting MAGA, supporting Trump. I got to figure out how this shit works, because there's obviously some type of filter on my black ass. I should look normal. I don't know why it's colored like that. So I've seen some of you folks pointing that out in the comment section. Nevertheless, and I see your comment, Rosemar, good riddance. Don't hate on my callers like that. Wow, that's mean. Yeah, I don't know why it's orange. I got to figure out what filter has been added to it. But this is a lunch break live. I got to get my ass back and finish my job. Appreciate you folks tuning in. 1,500 of you guys. Wow. 1,500 of you in here. Anyhow, appreciate you tapping the screen. We'll do this tomorrow. As always, if you enjoy civilized dialogue from both sides of the damn aisle without fear of being blocked, banned, or censored, you are in the right place. Follow the program. We don't block, ban, or censor anybody. You don't have to agree with the host. Nobody gives a damn. Always will preserve your right of free speech as long as I can on the broadcast. So I do appreciate you folks tuning in as usual. Catch you tomorrow. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. I gotta go. All right. The few folks that are on YouTube, I got to figure out how to get a better camera because I know there's no visuals of any significance. I know you guys can barely see me because it's pitch black on my own tablet, but I do appreciate those who tuned in. Catch you later.